Hello, hello, it's me again. And today we're going to be making this very whimsical amethyst geode house in vanilla Minecraft. And it's very much inspired by all of the beautiful fairy tale builds that are on my Pinterest board, so shout out to the people who make those builds. I apologise, this is a bit of a longer video, but I promise it's still a really easy build to make. So buckle up, grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get started. Starting off, here are the dimensions. As always, the dotted line is where the walls are going to go, and the purple bricks represent where the framework's going to go. So starting off, as always, with our framework, I'm just going ahead with some spruce wood, and on every purple block, I'm just building up a pillar that's going to be 5 blocks high. Then from there, on that top 5th block, we're going to go and build all the way around using that same spruce wood. And there's the frame done for the first layer of this house. And I'm just going to pop a bird's eye view of how this should look on the screen just for a bit more perspective. Wow, I didn't realise how wonky that was until now, so apologies for that. But moving on now, we're going to start on the second layer of the build. Once again, we're going to be building up pillars that are 5 blocks in height using that spruce wood, and joining them all together on that top 5th block. But as you might have noticed, I've not built up a pillar on the front right hand corner of the build and the part on the right hand side that sticks out as well. And that's because we're going to be doing something a little bit different with those bits, but I'm not going to spoil it for you just yet. And here's how we should be looking up to now. And as you can see, we've still got those gaps on the right hand side and on the front part as well. Time now to move on to our walls. Today I'm using the block that I have a love-hate relationship. We're going to be using mushroom stem. But first, this is just a total style choice. I like to build up on the inner corners of the build, just with that spruce wood. It's something I've always done. It is, like I say, just a style thing. You don't have to do it yourself. But then once that's done, we're going to go ahead with the mushroom stem and we're going to build all the way around the dotted line. And we're going to build up 4 layers. Yeah, the thing you've got to watch out for with mushroom stem is if you're building around and you accidentally misplace a block, you might have to replace a few of the blocks around it, just because when you break it, you end up with the kind of tan coloured spongy stuff, which looks really cool and all, but it's not what I'm going for in this build. Also, quick little disclaimer while I'm here, I would probably recommend watching this video through till the end, because there are some bits later on in the video that I do change up a little bit, just because they weren't how I originally planned it out, because as always, I was half asleep while recording this video. And then we're going to build around that top 4th layer with some more spruce wood. You don't have to do this part, but I choose to do it just if I'm decorating the inside of the build. It kind of creates a divide between an upstairs layer and a downstairs layer. And I'm just building across this part as well because there is going to be a wall there. You'll see about that later. But yeah, then we're going to start building around, again with the mushroom stem, and we're just going 4 blocks high again. As you can see here, we're going to build across that little spruce wood pillar, and that's just because we're creating a little divide between that section and the little part that sticks out on the right hand side, because the roof is going to be a lot smaller on that little part there. I realise that is a god-awful explanation, but I literally cannot think of another way to word it, so you'll just have to wait and see what I mean. And that's both floors all filled in. Now we can start getting into the more interesting stuff. It's time now to make a start on chopping out where we want our windows to go. On the side over here, just because there's quite a lot of wall space, I decided to add in a few more spruce wood pillars. Just because personally, I don't really like having massive long windows, and I think it just looks cool. And we're also going to pop some windows in all the way around on the rest of the build as well. But please take note, I will later on swap the positioning of one of the windows and the door. Like I say, I was, as usual, very sleepy while I was making this build, and I looked back at the plan halfway through recording and realised that half of the things that I'd done weren't the same as on my plan. And I really liked my plan, so I just kind of fixed it the best I could. But don't worry, I do show the parts that I changed later on. Once the windows are all done, it's time we go ahead and start on the roof. And for that, we're going to be needing some deep slate stairs, half slabs, and bricks. So starting off with the deep slate stairs, I'm going 1 block up and 1 block out from where the framework is, and I'm going to build all the way along the back edge of the build. Please note, this is probably the last time you're going to see the back of the build because frankly, it's not my problem. And we're also going to build along the edge of this smaller section on the right hand side, leaving a little gap on the end where we're going to make a roof arch. We're not building all the way across this higher up edge at the front because we're going to be doing something a little bit different here, you will see later on. And I realise my explanation for how I'm doing this is really terrible, so here's a bird's eye view of how it should look. Onto the roof arches now. On those end stairs, we're going to build down a block, and underneath there, we're going to place down an upside down stair underneath each of those blocks. Then back to that original stair, we're going to place an upside down stair on the back of each. On top of that upside down stair, we're going to place down a block and a stair, upside down stair, block, stair, upside down stair, stair, upside down stair, stair, upside down stair, stair. And then you're going to repeat that exact same pattern over on the other side and join the two halves together with 2 blocks and an upside down stair. If you still feel like you're struggling a little bit, my last video is a full roof tutorial, so you might find that helpful. And no, I'm not sorry for the shameless self-promotion, and I probably never will be. And you can do that exact same roof pattern over on the other side of the build. I'm going to shut up for a little bit and let you just enjoy the speed build. Me again, I did say I was only going to shut up for a little while, but for this smaller part on the right hand side, we're going to be doing almost the exact same pattern. The only difference being, instead of having a pattern of 3 stair and upside down stairs when you're joining the 2 sides together, you only need 2. Because the gap's only 7 blocks wide, and this one here is only 5 blocks wide, so once again, for this one you'll need even less stairs to join it together. I do appreciate that my explaining skills here aren't great, but like I say, I do have a roof tutorial over on my page, which you might find helpful, or this part of the build. Now for this little mystery section at the front, we're going to build down from the roof frame using deep slate bricks and deep slate stairs until we meet the spruce wood framework, just like this. And you're also going to build down the other side in the exact same way. We'll then join those 2 sides together using some stairs. And we're going to add in some half slabs and full blocks just around the edge of the roof frame. And here's how we're looking up to now. We are starting to get something that somewhat resembles a house. Moving swiftly on to filling the roof in now. I'm firstly placing down a dark blue terracotta on all of the upside down stairs and hole blocks in the roof frame, and I'm literally doing this on all parts of the roof frame just so that when I go to fill the roof in, everything lines up nicely. Then we can go ahead and start filling the roof on in with that dark blue terracotta. I'm sorry, I know it's supposed to be dark blue, but nobody can tell me that that's not purple. You may call me delusional, but I know I'm right. But anyway, I'll check back in once that's all done. And that is all parts of the roof nice and filled in. Now it's time to tidy up the inside of the build. To be honest, I think I sped the majority of this part up because it is just really boring. And if I didn't speed it up, we'd probably still be here watching next week. Because, fun fact, I'm actually a very, very, very slow builder, and most of my videos are actually sped up. But once we've gone around that top wall with some spruce wood, we can then go ahead with our mushroom stem and build all the way around until we meet where the roof is. And of course, we can't forget this small section on the right here. I definitely didn't forget about it and have to film it again afterwards. It's window time, everybody. Please take everything I do right here with a complete pinch of salt because I do end up changing some of the window shapes. But don't worry, I will show the bits that I've changed on camera later on because I don't gatekeep around here most of the time. But anyway, this little section of spruce wood here on the front part we're going to delete and we're going to just replace it with some of the mushroom stem. I am very aware that it looks goofy as hell, but we will fix it up later on. And here's where we're up to now. Now it's time to get into the actual fun roof decoration part. So we're starting off with some amethyst blocks, and I'm sort of building diagonally, so the line of amethyst kind of cuts through the middle of the build. And as you can see, I'm not really doing this with any kind of rhyme or reason, and I'm not really building in a straight line either. I think it'd look really, really strange if it was just one clean cut straight line. But once we've done putting all the amethyst in, we're then going to chop through the centre of it. Now, I know that seems like really counterintuitive, and for some people it might be, but for me it was just the easiest way to gauge kind of where the centre is. And once we're happy with what we've cut out, we're going to go down into the inside of the build and sort of start filling it back in. But we're kind of going to build inwards a little bit, if that makes sense. We want it to look like it's been hollowed out a little bit, like the inside of an amethyst geode. And anything you're not happy with on the outside, you can just fix afterwards. Once you're happy with all the placement of the amethyst, we're going to go in with some calcite and we're going to sort of roughly build around where the amethyst is. Don't worry too much about this being perfect because we're going to go in with another layer after that. And like I said, once we've done with all of the calcite, we're going to go in with some tuff. So it kind of follows the pattern of like a naturally forming Minecraft amethyst geode. And once that's all done, we're obviously going to go in with some amethyst clusters just for a little bit of extra detail. And I also decided to do a similar thing on this smaller roof area on the right hand side, but I didn't do the cutout part. And of course, once we finish that, we're going to move on to my absolute favourite part of the building process. So we're just going to do an alternating pattern of deep slate bricks and deep slate brick half slabs all the way along the highest point of each part of the roof. I love doing this. I think it just finishes the roof off perfectly. So yeah, big up the person who originally came up with that design. And I decided to do something a little bit differently today. So on the ends of all the roofs, I'm adding some little like swirly whirly bits that are inspired by all those really beautiful fantasy builds that you see over on Pinterest. Once again, big up the people who originally did this. You are far more creative than I am. And to be honest, I'm not even gonna try and explain what I'm doing here because to be completely honest, I didn't know either. And to be honest, there's not much new there. So I will once again just let you guys enjoy the building process for a little bit. And here is how all of those swirly bits are looking. I think they turned out so pretty. Not to like toot my own horn or anything, but I am really quite impressed with myself there. And for the windows, I was feeling quite fancy, so I decided to go with some purple stained glass and just some white stained glass for some accent details. And then once again, just for a bit of extra detail, I decided to pop down some deep slate stairs just here and there on the roof frame. Here is how we are looking up to now. Now it's time we get on with the decorations. So we are starting off on the left, I think it's the left-hand side of the build, and we're starting off with some lanterns and some flowers. Lanterns and flowers are my bread and butter. We all know that at this point. Then in the middle, I'm just rounding off the corners with some leaves and some stairs and also some trapdoors. Then I've just used some more leaves and a half slab just to make a window bay. I'm gonna pop some flowers down on there and a lantern up top. And that's the first layer done. Then for the second layer, we are going in with some stairs and some plants and lanterns, of course. I think I forgot to mention actually, I'm using dark oak stairs and half slabs, just because I think they go with the spruce wood really well. And obviously we're decorating with more plants and more lanterns, except this time I'm making a large plant by using a dead bush and some leaves. For the centre part, we are as always rounding off the corners with some stairs and some trapdoors, then making another little windowsill with some leaves and a half slab, and decorating with some flowers and lanterns. The top part follows largely the exact same formula as the rest of the build. Literally, it is just as easy as round off any sharp corners with some leaves and some stairs, add in some plants, add in some lanterns, and if you've got a bit of extra space, add in some hanging plants as well. Obviously, we've got to finish it off with a couple of little amethyst crystals just to tie it into the roof. And I'm adding a spruce wood block onto the corner of each layer, just for a little bit of extra decoration. And here's how that side looks, all finished. And I low-key forgot to do this bit and had to do it again afterwards. But for the 2 block spaces, we are doing the literal exact same thing as we did on the part of the build that we just decorated. So this part should hopefully be nice and straightforward. Moving over to the front part of the build now, and as I mentioned earlier, I got one of the windows and the doorway mixed up from how it was in my plan, so here I am just fixing that up. And you are very, very welcome to leave it as it was, but I just really liked how the plan turned out, so I decided to just change it. So I'm going to be starting from the ground and working upwards on this side first, and then doing the part with the door. I am literally doing the exact same thing here as I did before with the leaves and the stairs, making a window bay and adding some flowers and adding some lanterns as well. You'll probably come to learn at some point that all of the decorations that I do are pretty much a variation of the exact same thing, except for this part here, funnily enough. So for this kind of long, odd looking section, we're making a sort of round shape around that first window. Honestly, wish I could tell you what was going through my head at this point, so I could sort of explain what was going on a bit better, but the likely answer is absolutely nothing. This is a tutorial, but there is nothing in the description or in the title to say that this is a good one. So best of luck to you on this part. And again, because I'm a little bit silly, I think I messed up from what my plan looked like, so I had to make the window here a little bit longer, but that's fine. And the decorations for this part are, you guessed it, plants and lanterns. Because I've said it once, I'll say it again, I am nothing if not predictable. And obviously, like we did before, we're going to dot some amethyst crystals here, there and everywhere. And there's that part all done. I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do with this part, so instead I just thought, let's do something easy, and I just popped some, I think they're birch leaves, absolutely everywhere on the inside. And then I went in with some stairs and some half slabs and added in a little bit of decoration and texture into this part of the frame. Then I'm decorating the doorway in the exact same way that I do all of my windows, minus the little window bay with the flowers on it. And here's how the door and entryway looks all finished. Onto this little side window here now, I'm just doing the exact same thing. I think I've said this about a million times. I'm literally just doing the exact same thing as I do on every window. You see, I could think up new window designs, but I'm really lazy and I don't have the time for that. So we're sticking with what we know. Speaking of sticking with what we know, I'm doing that here too. So I'm gonna just be quiet for a bit and let you guys enjoy the building process. Oh yeah, I also decided that this window looked ugly, so I changed it into like a little flower instead. And I thought that the large roof arch that kind of goes above the one that we've just decorated looked a little bit sad and lonely, so I added some decoration in there too. Okay, we are in the final parts of the build now. All I'm doing here, and all I am doing for the next couple of minutes, is adding in a ton of grass. Tall grass, allium flowers, ferns, tall ferns, and I think I add in some lilacs? Are they called lilacs or are they called lavenders? I don't really remember. But anyway, I am literally just covering the entire ground around the build in these plants. And I love doing this. It's time consuming, yes, but I just think it ties everything together perfectly. And lastly, I'm just using some path blocks, some coarse dirt, and some mycelium? I don't know how you say that word and I don't really care either. It has taken me a whole week to finish this voiceover, so please let me live. But anyway, that is the build all finished. I hope you all enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed building. I think I say this after every single thing that I build, but I think this actually is my prettiest build to date. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. I can't promise how consistently I'll be posting at the moment just because I am absolutely swamped in university work, but I'm going to do my best to get a few Christmas themed builds out in December. Anyway, thank you all again so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.